Hey everyone, it's Andrew Brown, and we are back working on the visual novel game. I swear there's some Gen AI in this thing when we get through it. What I'm doing now is what I'm trying to do is actually start the game. So we got the settings. I mean, none of this is saving right now, but the point is that we have a settings screen when we want to get to something here. I was really motivated to do this because I just wanted to turn down the audio. And I mean, it is really low right now, so it's totally fine. But before we were having some issues with it. And I think next thing we want to do is work out on this new button here. So that's what we need to hook up next. And so we're going to go over here, and we do have a bit of an issue because we're not managing our events in a great way. They're kind of like all over the place. And the question is, do we centralize them in the Globals Manager? I don't know. We do have some global ones over here that we have, like save game, load game, stuff like that. But then we also have some actions that are in other places. So here we do have new game continue setting, and should they be in here or should they be in the menu? I don't know at this point. And we do have some in the settings, so it is a bit of a mess, but we'll figure that out as we go here. So what do we want to do? We want to transition to the next scene, and that's right. We want to go to the scene game start. Now, we do want to have transitions. We do have a scene transition manager. But it depends on what they mean by scene. Do they mean scenes between scenes within, what do you call it, within Phaser, or scenes within the scene of the game? So I'm not going to worry about that right this moment. What I'm going to focus on is getting the new game to transition over to that. And new game we haven't touched in a very, very long time. So that should be really interesting. If we go back over to our menu scene, or sorry, the global managers. We have this where it says start the scene. Now, does that transition the scene? So we'll go here and just take a look at Phaser scene change. Or maybe life cycle, because the life cycle will tell us a lot about it. So we'll go into this one, which tells us about the life cycle. And so here we have a start, which will create a scene. Right? We can stop a scene, shut it down. Why would we want to do these things? They create an update emit state. So I'm not sure what we want to do, but I know that I want to start the next scene. So I'm just going to go with that for now. This really comes down to is there performance issues by doing that? And so I'm going to give this a refresh as we've already hooked up that. And so if I click this, it goes to the next one. We're getting weird double playing here because we're having some issues. I assume that the reason we're getting that is because we're running into an error, but I don't actually see an error, which is interesting because if we transition to the other one, it should stop the other music, right? It shouldn't continue on. So I guess my question is if we hit stop, does it stop the other scene? So does start stop the other scene in Phaser? That's what we don't know. So indeed, this won't even work as a Phaser. Scene operation should go via the scene plugin, which is accessible via this scene from within it. So this scene start will stop the current scene and then start the other one. But I don't think we're calling game.scene. We're calling, well, it has scene.scene.start. I don't know why it's doing that. Would it just be event.scene.start? Yeah, why is it calling it twice? It's already the scene, right? So I'm not sure, but I'm not sure if that'll fix our problem, but we'll take a look here as that's a bit unusual. And what I want to do is go back over to here. Or is it over to, yeah, here. And we'll give this a nice refresh here. And here it says event scene start is not a function. I don't understand because isn't scene here what I think is being passed along here? So we'll give this a console log here, console log, event here, and then we'll give this a nice refresh here. And we'll see what we're getting when we click this. So when we click this, it, button scene, menu scene. Oh, I guess so, yeah. So we still do have to call scene. All right. But what I don't understand is like, why is the music playing twice? Because when you go to a new scene, wouldn't the other one close out? I guess the other question, like, does it actually stop the other scene? So if we go back over to, where is it? The phaser scene lifecycle. Here. We have start, but I wonder if we actually have stop or shutdown being called here. So what I'm going to do is go into our menu scene. We have init. And I just want to go ahead and see if we have, like, we'll say start. Not sure if this would break it in any way. Well, first let's just see if it calls this. So like starting scene. Right, because I don't know if Phaser is going to be, or I mean, Claude with Windsurf is going to be smart enough to figure out what's going on here. So go here, and what I'm looking for is, did it call start? I don't see it there at all. Settings successfully loaded. Yeah, I don't see that. I don't know. So I guess this is where I'm going to ask here if it can figure it out. So when I start game and it loads the other game scene, the music is playing twice. I was under the impression when we transition scenes in Phaser that the previous music would stop because it exists in that previous scene. Doesn't the previous scene stop when we start another one? Okay, so I'm gonna go over here and move it to chat because this is where I'm confused. Because we tested it earlier and we heard it stop when it would transition. Normally Phaser, when you transition to a new scene, the previous scene audio should stop if it's not set to persist between scenes. Let me investigate why. Okay. Mm-hmm. I see the issue now. Both scenes are creating playing background music independently with the same code pattern. Okay. So when transitioning from menu scene to game scene, this game scene is creating new audio without the menu screen audio being stopped. This is likely related to how Global Audio Manager is implemented. Let's take a look at that. I mean, originally that's what we wanted, but I couldn't get that to work. I need to find the Audio Manager implementation in the code base to understand it. Even the Phaser scene typically manages their own resources. So this issue is when transitioning from scenes isn't being stopped, even though Phaser scene typically manages their own resources. In the case of the audio, it's being managed by Global Audio Manager. When the new scene starts, it doesn't automatically stop the previous audio. The solution is to stop the background music before creating the new one. I mean, sure, I just didn't think that that was a problem. So for now, what I will do, it's a little bit unusual that that's our problem, but I'm going to go over. I can see what's happening with the music in the, hold on here. In the current code, when you're transitioning both scenes independently creating the playground music. Okay, it keeps saying that, I get it. I just thought originally that when we transition scenes, that's not how it works. So that's easy enough to fix because what I can do is I can go ahead and just disable that problem there. So if we go up to wherever we create our game scene, here, it's creating and doing this. So if I just take this here and comment that out, that will kind of resolve the issue. But again, I thought that's not how that worked, right? So give this a nice hard refresh here. And so I clicked it and it's still playing the music. Interesting. All right, well, that's not a problem for me. I don't care about that. So now we're onto this screen and the rest of the game is not loaded. One thing that we might want to be able to access from here is the settings. So that's probably the first thing that I would want to put in here. So we need to create a menu. I'm just trying to think about this for a second because we have, I guess we have a dialogue menu or a settings menu. And I'm just trying to think of like how games handle this. They usually put like a cog or something somewhere. So, I'm just trying to think about this for a second. Give me a second to think about it, okay? Yeah, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to create a new UI here. And we are creating the UI for the game scene, I guess. So this will be, oh, we got to go under UIs. So we go under UIs and then we have dialogue UI, which is in the main game here. Which we haven't really done anything with, but it just depends. Like, do we want to keep these UIs separate or do we want to have one UI with all the components in it? I'm going to separate them out for now. I'm just going to call this like game UI actions JS. And so this one's responsible for containing the game UI actions. So class game UI actions, constructor scene. We'll do that. And so what do we want to do with this here? I want to, should be extending, should it not? Extend the other one? Don't these always extend the scenes? Hold on here. We'll go to this one here. This one doesn't, but this one does. So we want to extends base UI actions. Here we expect this to have a, why is the UI manager being called like this? That's weird. Oh, it is being passed in here. Okay, sure. I thought maybe it wasn't there for a second. So we have UI manager and we'll do this next. The thing that we need here, well, we obviously need an X and a Y, so we'll put that in here. And we'll have this dot X. And then we'll have this dot Y. Okay, I need to say this dot create, it's basically very similar to that, but I'm going to go ahead down here and say create actions. And we're going to have a container. So container, horizontal container for actions. Yep, so we'll do that. Create fields, horizontal, spacing. I want this one to be aligned right. So I'm going to go 0, or actually 1 here. And then I want this to be 0. The other part of this is that I want to now add a button. So we'll say this dot create config button or settings button. The other thing is that we have that menu. I didn't really think about this when I was working on it, but technically we could have the other menu show up and then click settings. It really just depends on what we want. Because some games, like imagine you wanted to reload the game, right? Like how would you even do that right now? You'd have to quit the entire game to do that. I didn't really think about that. Give me a second, go check out a video game and I'll be back in a moment. You know what? I really just can't decide. It's a little bit hard to kind of figure that out. So I think we just have to start doing something. And if I don't like it, I'll just have to go change it. But right now we have these settings here. And so when we go to a new game, I want to have ability to get to those settings very easily. But at the same time, it's like we need to also be able to load, which would be definitely one that we might need to do. Settings and load are two actions. So maybe I can just list those on the page. The other thing is like maybe we don't want to have UI elements clutter the screen. So that could be something that we might want to change. But load, settings, quick load, I don't know. Anyway, for now, I'm just going to go ahead and get this going here. I have it horizontal, which I don't know if we need it that way, but we're going to do it that way anyway. And we are going to have some buttons. So we have create settings buttons. There are a few we need. We have create settings button, this dot create load button. We have this dot create quick save. And we have this dot create save button, right? You know, and it really depends if we even want to press a manual save. I think a lot of these games let you do that. So maybe that's what it is. So we have quick save, save, load button here. And I mean, all these buttons are going to be kind of the same. So maybe I should really just have button data in this. Actually, we say like button data. And we'll do this. And bring this down here. There we go. And so then instead of doing this dot create, I mean, this is already going to create the buttons anyway. Loop through and create buttons. I don't think it needs a position. Yep, that's fine. And I probably want these to be icons, but for now, we'll have them as bulky text. Keep going. Keep going. It is kind of doing what we want. I'm not sure what the problem is here. Oh, it's missing that. Okay. So just if text and event handler. It seems like it's supposed to have more than that. It was a constant button. This dot container add fields button, right? This doesn't seem like this is enough information. Let's go over to the menu UI as a comparison. So here it would have been nice if the buttons, looked like this, which is fine. If it's a little bit different, it doesn't really matter. But in here, we can see the field. Did we say create button or create field? We did say create field. We have input options, text, size, event handle. So here we should have size, right? And we can probably go up here. Yeah, we can set that up here like that. Sure, why not? It's probably identical to the other one. These buttons are way too large, but that's fine. So now we should have those there. The game UI actions is not added to the scene. So we're going to go over to our game scene here, and let's go ahead and add those. So wherever that is, this is in our create. We have this game create menu. No. This would be, we need to kind of compare this with our menu one here. And this is going to, yeah, we have updated the same scene. So we have this dot, where's our interfaces? Down here. Okay, so we have this dot UI, game actions equals new UI game actions like that. And we'll say this dot UI game actions dot show. So those should show up here. The only thing is that we're not setting its position. So here we're supposed to say create. And here it's saying width and height like that, but I really want this to be the entire width, and then the height should be 0. So I'm trying to get in the top right corner, right? So we'll go ahead and do that. The other thing here is that I don't know if we've actually included this into our actions here. So in our settings, we have this one. And now we've added that one here. So let's go ahead and stop and start this, go over to here, take a look, see what we get. So hopefully that renders out that new UI. And we have reference game actions UI not defined. We probably don't have the export on that. I think we did do that though. Yep, the export's there. And I can give this a nice other hard refresh here. No, it's saying it's not defined. It's definitely defined. It's right here. Game UI actions, game UI actions. We'll go back to our index.html. I did save that, right? You folks saw whether I saved that, right? And it could be like the order in which we load it. I don't think that's the problem. The game scenes get loaded later on, right? Yeah, way down here. So that should be a non-issue. I'm going to stop and start this just because we added a new file. I'm not sure if HTTP server is serving it or not. And so now we go here. I'm still having this problem. I don't know what it's talking about. This is, I mean, at least it gets us through these issues, but that's usually the initial problem I have was like when you're adding new files, like, oh, it doesn't exist. Why doesn't it exist? Goofing around with it. Why is there a game frame refactored in this? This is, oh yeah, this is trying to do something over here. I don't know what this is. I'm gonna delete this out. I never asked for that. And okay, well, let's go fix that. We'll just apply that. So it says we have a little bit of an issue. We'll go over to here. Okay, great. Sorry, yeah. So we'll go ahead and do that. We'll accept those changes. I didn't realize that we had a super command there now. We'll go ahead and give us a refresh. And I mean, you know, like we are waiting like for the LM to produce stuff, but back in the day, I used to have to spend hours trying to figure out basic bugs like that. So I guess I can't really complain. You know what I mean? It still says it's frickin' not defined. Come on, give me a break. Just work. Just work. Just work. Come on, just work. Today, please. Just doesn't work. I know settings is up here, which is not supposed to be here because we're on the main page. We'll worry about that at some other time, but it is a little bit of a glitch I just noticed. Interesting. Here it's setting it a bit different. So it looks like maybe it got confused. Okay. And I'm actually surprised it doesn't set it like that. Yeah, it doesn't. That's interesting. I'm not sure why we don't do that. Whatever. Still works. We'll give this a nice refresh here. We'll go to new game. Position must be an array of 2 numbers, and that's in the UI fields. So we'll go back over to our game UI actions, I think. And here we have position. And then we have position down here. So this is messing up on UI fields validate option. So I'm going to assume this is the problem. We have the X and the Y that are being set here on the create. Maybe we don't set them at all, but I thought we did. So we go back to our scene here. They're right there. So we're going to go ahead and I'm just going to give it more of the information again. I just tired when this doesn't work, right? And so we'll go here and we'll see if it can fix that issue as well. But yeah, excited to be on a different screen. But it seems like 90% of this game is just UI stuff. Really, it does feel that way. I feel like if we were making the mud, we'd be more focused on generating that stuff here. But we'll go through here. It says there's a new error different. We fixed an extension class, but now there's a new problem. The position must be an array of 2. Oh, is it not? Okay, so then I thought it was an array of 2. How's it not an array of 2? It looks like it is. We'll give this a second, okay? Wait, here it says, let me implement a proper fixed position. The error says position array 2. We're passing a single number width to the create in the first. I need to ensure the position is properly formatted. I see the issue now. You're trying to pass width as a parameter, but that's not an array as a required UI fields. Okay, so I'm going to go back over to the game scene here and take a look at that again. I don't understand, like it's this and then it's that. It's really thinking hard to fix this. Holy smokes. Just shut up. It's not even figuring it out. We're going to go split this here. We have UI game actions create, right? UI game actions create. We're going to open up our UI game actions, wherever that is. That's under UI game actions. And UI game actions, this is our create function up here, X and Y, right? Then down here we have X and Y where it's setting it. So let's give this console log out and say console log X and Y, right? It's probably one is null or some weird value. That's probably what it is. We'll give this a nice refresh here. We get, click this here. Yeah, the first one's undefined. That's a problem. So it's undefined at that point in time, and that's where we're running into an issue. So we'll go back over to our game scene, which is over here. And so it's saying this GUI width, that's not actually what we want. If we go back over to our menu, the thing that we actually want is like, it's camera or something. So should be in here, camera width. Or not menu UI, menu scene. This is, yeah, here it is. This.cameras.width. So this here. Yeah, I want the height as well. Sometimes this happens where I hit tab and it just doesn't work. Tab for accept. Accept it, accept it, accept it, accept it. There we go. Okay, so now I can just put width in here and that will resolve that issue that we're having there before. I want icons in there instead. I don't want to slot those in right now. We could probably fix that if we want to. No errors, right? No errors, but I don't see any buttons. Right? So if they're there, I don't see them. If we go back to this one, these buttons have some kind of graphics, so they should appear. And we are saying for it to show. So maybe for now, I'm just going to put 0, 0, so we can just see if that's our problem. It could also be off screen because how we're setting stuff here. And so I still don't see it. I'm again just going to reset things back to their normal defaults here so that we're more likely to see the game actions if it's just not appearing. We do create the actions here, so there's no reason that it shouldn't show up. We are attaching the fields. We are registering the fields. Register the button with the base UI management. So we're not supposed to do that. We're supposed to add the field because if we do that there, it's kind of redundantly twice, which I don't believe we want. But for our positioning, our origin, I'm going to set this to 0 just so that it stays on screen because maybe 1 is pushing it up because if we have 1, it should be to the right of it. But for whatever reason, if it's messing it up, I want to just put it back to normal origins. Okay, we go new. I still don't see any buttons. Right? I don't see any errors. I don't see any errors, but I also don't see any buttons. So let's go and compare our menu scene. Or sorry, our menu UI. And I'm just trying to make sense of what could be different here. So in here we have our create action and we create our actions. We have the code down here. We could have just had it there as well, but for whatever reason, we coded it there instead. And then we have create buttons separately. Here iterates through the buttons, which is fine. Here we have, this one's horizontal as opposed to vertical. We could also just change it to vertical for now. And that's fine. We iterate through the buttons and each button gets added as a field. Here it's actually adding the event handler and this one's actually adding the button. So I think this is supposed to choose. Oh, but that's the... Like, why do we iterate? Why do we even have buttons managed that way? Do we even need that? We don't. We don't. I think it's just because it's like legacy code, right? So we originally did this because we needed it. So I'm just going to take that out. I just want to try to like normalize our code a bit more here. And so we have the buttons here. And really what we can do is just say like const button here, const button. Like this. I'm just trying to normalize our code so I can just exactly see what we're doing. This actually does return the button, right? And so this one is a little bit more simplified. Okay. And now it's just iterating through the button data. I'm not sure if I broke the other one, but we'll go ahead and take a look here. So this is still laying out perfectly fine. We still don't see buttons here. Okay, so now I know for certain that the code is more similar, right? Because the only thing is like this data button's a little bit different. And I don't think that's a problem, but I'm going to console log out here, just make sure that it is doing the buttons here. Button. And we're just going to keep stepping through this here. And I click new, and it does iterate through the buttons. I can see them right here, right? There they are. But again, I still don't see any buttons. So we have create button here, input item button, position 0, 0. The text is there, so that's getting inputted. The button width and height are there. We have the handler, so that's all correct. It's the same as this other one here. Here, it's adding the button to the field, so that's less of an issue. There are these show and hide functions. Now, I don't have them in here, but maybe that's our problem. I don't feel like we'd have to enter those because those are if we wanted to override them, right? If we inherit from them, this should automatically work. But just in case it needs that for some dumb reason, we'll go ahead and put that in there, and maybe that will resolve our issue. So go ahead and give this a nice refresh here. And we still don't see anything here. So I'm going to go into our base UI. And in here we have our show. Say console log show. This should happen at least once. But then when we click on the other one, it should happen twice. So we go here. It shows it once, right? We click it again. It shows it twice. Right? Twice is nice. So it's showing it. But again, I still don't frickin' see the buttons. We'll go over to game scene here. And we say create 0, 0. I'm going to just put this out a little bit center. I'm going to say 100 and 100, right? This way, it's getting pushed out a little bit here. I'm not sure. Maybe there's like something in our update frame that's messed up. I don't think we use update in this, do we? No, we do not. So nothing that should be messing it up, right? So go, we'll stop this, we'll start it. We'll go over to here. Yeah, I don't know. I can't. This is frustrating. When I go to game scene, I don't see the menu I'm expecting. It's just is not on screen. However, show is being called. Okay, we'll see if it can give me an answer. Let's see if it figured out any reasoning here. I need to determine why the UI isn't showing up. Let me think about what's happening in the game actions. You're doing this, look in the base class. I need to propose a fix to make sure the game UI is showing up. I've identified your game isn't showing up despite the show menu. This issue is that you're creating the UI elements in the game action, but not registering them with the base UI class. They're not being made visible in the show call. Oh, so we did need to do that. Do we? I thought the register element... Let's take a look at this one here. In the menu UI. I don't understand. We add the field here, and we don't do that there. So... Okay, but here it's saying that, but that's not... the game UI creates component but doesn't register them. The menu UI class doesn't seem to explicitly register. Stop. They say like, so no, sorry, look, sorry. The fields the UI fields does register them. Okay. Yeah, you do. So this thing never goes deep enough, right? The elements might be registered, but positions off screen has incorrect coordinates. There might be a Z-index layer where the elements are behind other elements. It can't be. There are no other elements on the screen. You know, it can't be a Z-index problem. There are no other elements on the screen for this scene. Right? It's a new frickin' scene, folks. Mm-hmm. It really can't figure it out. I'm getting really frustrated with this. This should be really easy to get this to work here. I see critical differences with the origins. That's not the problem. No, that's not even... It's so dumb. It's so dumb. That is not our problem, right? So we can set it 0.5 was 0.5, but I think that what we need to do to debug this is like, if it's being rendered, right? The elements are being rendered, they should be shown somewhere. I guess the question is like, when we do show, it should propagate down and show all the elements, right? And right now, all we're doing is we're showing buttons. So here, it should be visible. Yeah. Let me pause and figure this out, okay? All right, so I've just been going through and refactoring the game scenes thing, and I tried a lot of stuff, but one thing that I didn't do is I didn't register the elements and everything. In the main menu, we never noticed it, but I never actually, in the main, where is it here? Main UI, I never actually called that here, so I now applied it there. But I also am just realizing, coming back over to here, I'm just walking through it, and I don't see this update scene in here. So if it doesn't update the scene, it would be calling the old scene, which would be an issue. And so maybe that's our problem here. So I'm going to go ahead and try this and say update scene to this. And that might be our actual problem. I just have a strong feeling that's probably what it is. I am going to go back over into my global managers. I've been fiddling with things, as you folks probably didn't see here, but I'm going to bring this back, this show back in here. Okay, and so I'm going to stop this, start this again. I'm going to go back over to here. I'm going to give this a hard refresh here. And so now, there we go. Our buttons are actually show up. Now these buttons are a little bit too large for my liking here, but I'm going to go into, that was really hard to figure out, but I did figure it out. I'm going to go into the, back into game actions UI. And up here, I think the buttons are way too freaking large. We're going to make this 40 and 50. One thing that might be nice to have are buttons that are like exactly fit the size that they need to fit, but that's just overkilling the code here. So we go to new game here, and you can see the buttons are a lot smaller. Again, I just need these to work a little bit better, so I'll just say 60 and 100 for now. Right now, we don't have the means to override our styling for our buttons, so I'll go ahead and do that. And they are a bit cut off, but I can understand and make sense of them for now. So I'm okay with that for now. I'm going to switch that to that. I'm going to put this back to horizontal. The origin here, this is going to be to the right here. And we have our position. Before I wanted this position to be something else. I'm going to go back over to our game scene here. And I think we actually have open here on the right-hand side. And before we used to tell the width to be over here, so I'm going to try that again and see if I can get them onto the right side of the screen. They might be hugging a little bit, which is not a big deal. They're actually off screen now, which is not what I wanted. So I'm going to go and just say like width half here and see what happened. As we haven't really done a line right much, so I'm not sure exactly how the line right would work. So go here. I don't see them at all. We'll bring it down a bit. I don't see them at all. But it's working in the default settings, which is a bit frustrating. Going back over to here, 0, 0, 1, 0. So if I put the origin back to 0 here, I should really change these elements one at a time. Okay, they're back. And so for whatever reason, when they're on 1, they kind of mess up. Which is confusing because it seems like they should work. If I do 0.5, that should center now, right? Okay, they do. And so my other thought was like, we have the width here. We're saying like create it based on the width. But isn't the width that? Like if I go 100, wouldn't it go all the way to the right? It's not moving at all. Interesting. This dot X and this dot Y, right? So we have that set here. Does not get even set anywhere in our... It doesn't. Yeah, it's not taking into account that. So I think it's because I hard-coded them from prior, that's why. So this probably does actually work. It's just I needed to get that one part in there. And so now we'll go back here. Stop. I don't know, I keep stopping. I don't have to do that. And we'll give this a nice refresh here. There we go. Now it's a little bit farther down than I'd like it to be. So I'm going to go back over to here. And we'll say 0. And I'll just, well, I'll maybe give it like 12 and plus 12 here. So we just bring it in a little bit. Not that it matters. And so now I have, why is it not, it should be coming in by 12. Oh, maybe minus 12. That's probably what it was. Yeah, it's okay. It's not exactly what I want, but because what's confusing here, it's like we have this, right? This is the width, minus 12, and then we have 12, so you think it'd come down and be even on both sides. So if I go back to 0 and do width here again, let's try this again. Where does it go? Yeah, I'm not sure why I have this little weird gap at the top. Right? Wouldn't 0 be right at the top here? Like absolute top? Okay. Yeah, I don't know. But it does work for now, so I guess I'll worry about those anomalies later on, as this was so freaking hard to get working that I don't even want to think about it right now. So I would say here, you know, what is it that we need to do next? We obviously have our buttons here. I'd like it if I click the settings button, it would open up our settings. So I'm going to bring that back in here. So, well, we not even bring back, it's just like actually add it in. And so we will go over to, we are going to something. We are going to our game scene. And in here, we need to add in the other menu. So we have this .ui settings, new settings, and we will create it. This will be 0, 0, and it'll be hidden initially. And so we do need to rig up the UI game actions. Where we should set these actions, I still don't know, but I'm doing them all in the global manager for now. But, you know, if there are things that are specific, I mean, like, we have menu events, so new game, continue, settings. We have these are new game, continue, settings. What are these actions called? I don't even know. So we'll go into our game actions here. And these are called settings, load, quick save. So that's not going to cut it because we need to be very clear. So let's say GM for game, GM save, GM whatever, and GM settings here. And so I'll go back over to here. And we have menu settings. We'll have game action settings, game action events. game action events. And so we'll go here. I'll say game action events. And yep, there we go. So those are now set. But you can see how like having all the stuff in here is kind of a pain, but if there is shared stuff, that's not a bad idea. But these are a little bit different, right? So I'm thinking maybe these actions really do belong in the actual scene itself. I'm not sure if we can just move these around. I don't see why we can't, because the event bus is on the actual global manager, right? So if we go back to our game or menu scene, we could just set them up anywhere we want. So maybe just right here, we'll set them up. And so I'm going to take these game actions. What else do we have in this? We have start new game, continue game. This stuff is, well, they're not even being called, are they? Yeah, they're not. And we don't have continue game either or open settings. So all this stuff is really, really old. I'm going to go ahead and delete it out. And yeah, I think we now know that what we should be doing is we should be storing these events in here. I think what I'll do is I'll put these last in the function here. Okay, so we'll go down here, and I'm going to go ahead and grab these menu events from here, and we'll cut them out. We'll paste them in here. And if we want to, yeah, exactly, we just need to do that. So now we can bring in our start game, continue game, open settings. So we have our start game open settings here, so we'll cut those out. And so that will make things a little bit more clear. So we have start game, open settings, and continue game. Right, so right now it's just doing that. Technically it would also, yeah, it would do that as well. And so now we don't need in here menu events or this one either. We need to bring this into the actual game scene. I'm not sure if this is going to break anything as we work through this, but we'll find out as we do it. And so I'm going to go ahead and cut out these here. And we'll paste this in here. So now we have those functions there. I don't need menu events in here anymore. Okay, settings update, save game, load game. Yeah, those are a global ones still there, that's fine. So we'll go over to here, and now we need our function. Right now, we're just focusing on open settings. I'm gonna go to open settings, open settings. Thank you. And so that's all I really wanted to do. I just wanted to toggle like that, exactly, right? So, I mean, hopefully they still work, but again, I expect these to work. Okay, we gotta just make sure I put the G on those. And we don't have all these defined, but that's okay. If it doesn't go anywhere and we're not pressing those buttons, it's not gonna matter right now. So go over to here, give us a nice refresh. Please still work, please still work. It still does. Settings, that's fine, cancel, good. New game, settings, right click, inspect. And we have a bit of an error here. Cannot read the property hide of undefined UI game actions. Now I thought that this was set up here. It is. So it's saying it's undefined at this point in time. Now, when we call these, it usually passes along event data. So it's supposed to be event data, and then we say scene.event data like that. So maybe that's our problem here. Go back over to here, give us a refresh. Okay, still doesn't work. UI game actions on scene. So clearly, there's something we're missing here. Let's go back to our menu scene, take a look here. Event scene, okay. Event scene. There we go. Give us a nice refresh here. And we'll go new, settings. I'm clicking settings and we're getting an error here. Now what's our problem? It's still undefined. Oh, you know what? Because we're doing this .scene. It's supposed to be EV. Okay, so EV. We'll go back here. We'll give this a nice refresh here. New game, settings. Still doesn't work. Undefined method. It's just, it refuses to cooperate here. Let's do console log. Sorry for smacking the table, but I am getting kind of mad here. We have this. I have this dot scene. I have this dot scene, okay? So one of these things is going to work. Now this is set as a dot this on this scene, right? So I expect this to kind of work. Just nice refresh here. New. Settings. Let's look at our logs. So I clicked it. I clicked it. So here we have UI and then scene. It says game scene, right? And then this one here is the game scene, so we can see that. UI game actions, it's right there. It's right there. It's like crazy. I think what it was saying that maybe the hide function doesn't exist. Undefined reading hide. Cannot read properties of undefined reading hide. It makes me think that the game scene is undefined. But I'm going to go here and I just want to make sure that this is defined. So I just go here and just say like UI game actions. I don't understand because it's an extension of our UI thing, so it should be there. We'll give this a nice hard refresh. We'll inspect here and we will go back over to here. We'll click into this. We'll check it again. And so now, well, that's not it, but we'll go into settings here. We're going to get rid of some of those loggings there. We have a lot of logs. It's saying UI game action is not defined. This doesn't make sense because when we access scene, it clearly is there, right? Like it clearly worked just a moment ago. It's like scene, right? So we have scene, and we'll go back over to here, give it a refresh. No errors, new game. Settings, undefined. This is UI game actions right here. This is the scene. And, well, I mean, this one definitely doesn't have it. Event.scene. I'm going to make this clear. ev.scene. Scene, ev.scene, right? ev.scene, game actions UI. I'm just trying to find wherever the frick this thing is. Sure isn't helping me out here. We'll try this again here. We'll go into here. We'll check it. Here we have, click on settings here. ev.scene. So here we have the game scene. This one has UI game actions. Well, okay. That's what I thought it was supposed to be. So we'll go and set it to this one. If it works, I don't care. I don't care about being wrong here, but for whatever reason, we're having a hard time. We'll go new. Maybe because the other one was dot this, and that's why I need this dot scene. There we go. Okay, great. So that was probably the problem from before. So now we have our settings pulling up into here. If we hit cancel, this cancel button doesn't work the same way, right? So, this cancel button is being called, but we need to, I guess, watch it in here as well because the behavior is a little bit different. So if we go into our actual settings page, wherever that is, settings UI, here, we can see that it is calling them in line, which is a problem, right? So this is where we are running into problems. So, this is not so much a problem. This is not so much a problem. It's those buttons that we call the apply and cancel, right? So here we have this one here, and this is supposed to be not in here. We need to cut that out, and it needs to go in here like this. Okay, and so I'm just going to close out all these tabs so I can see what I'm doing. And we're going to have open settings, cancel, settings. Because also just be close and not necessarily apply. So in this one here, yeah, that's right, that we need game actions open here, game actions. So we'll go down here and bring it in like this. This one's going to be this dot cancel settings. And yeah, that will be like that. So now we are dealing with that there. We need to also do that in our menu. So we'll go back to our menu here. And I'm going to go down to the ground, and here we can see that we are defining these here. And so we'll grab that exactly as it is. These are now separate functions. I assume that they're not going to both get called, because if the event bus is here, I would think that it would deregister these events. I don't know for certain, but I guess if we see a double call, we'll know that for sure then, right? But we'll go here. Right, and then yeah, we need to change that as such. This one's also wrong. It's saying data, right? And so this should resolve our issue. Now here we have settings UI, right, where we open it. But I'm just going to, yeah, we have this one here. Maybe I'll leave it in here for a second because I want to see if it's actually calling both of them. We don't need to start game. We'll say open settings, right? Because I need to check if that's also a problem with our event bus, but we'll find out as we're working through this here. So I'm in here and it loads. We have clear. We have lots of mits going on here. I'm going to say settings, right? So that we have our open settings here, right? I hit cancel. Okay, I'm going to clear this. I go into here. Now, what I'm not expecting here when I hit open is it should not call the other one. Perfect. So it's not calling other ones, okay? We'll go here. We get a little error here, not a big deal, saying show not found for UI settings. Oh, that's interesting. But it called the correct one, right? Listen for change events. I thought we deleted that out. Maybe we didn't save that file. Let's go over. I thought we saved that. So let's go back to our settings. Maybe it's not saved. Settings UI, wherever that is. And I'm looking for that settings UI, the apply. If we go all the way down the ground here, or the cancel. Yeah, this file's not saved. So that's going to require us to check again. I don't have to start the server every time. It's just a bad habit. We're going to go here. And what I'm looking for is, we hit settings here. We see open settings here. That's fine. We'll hit cancel. We go to here. We go to settings here. It does not show that twice. That's perfect. When we hit cancel, it's not closing it, which is okay. Cannot read show for scene UI. It's calling cancel settings over here, which is in what? Menu scene. It's calling the wrong one. Why is it calling that one? Because we're not in that one, and we've bound it to somewhere else. So this is where I was kind of concerned that it would open up the incorrect one. However, it did not open up the incorrect one in the other one here. So I'm going to go here and just say like console log, open settings, and this is game scene. Because I want to be really certain that it is calling the correct one, cancel settings. We'll go back over to the menu scene. Menu scene, yep. And then we'll go here. And I just want to, again, make sure that it is calling the correct one, because how could it call the wrong one when we are over in this scene over here, right? Okay. Another thing that we could do is we could try to put into the event bus name the actual context of what it's calling in. Depends if we want it to be a global event or not. And so we might have to adjust our event bus accordingly. So much stuff with event buses and stuff like that. But we'll go over to here. We'll give this a nice hard refresh here. And again, just tracking here on the back end. I really got to get rid of the noise in here. So I'm going to go in the base UI and just get rid of some of those logs that are just really, really noisy. Console log here. So we'll get rid of that one. We'll get rid of that one. We'll get rid of that one. And so that should make things way less noisy. Okay. So I'm in here. It's loading up. This should still be triggering, which is fine. I go to settings here. We get menu settings open, cancel, menu settings cancel, right? So that's perfect. We go new game, game open settings, menu cancel settings. How is it calling that one when it's in a different one, and this one is calling the correct one? That is what I want to know. It might have to do with the name of these things. We have this.cancel settings, open settings. If we go into our menu scene, is it named the same or slightly different? We have open settings, cancel settings. The names are identical. That should not be the problem. Oh, you know what it is? This one's settings and settings cancel. This one's GM settings. GM settings. No, that makes sense for the open button because they're different open buttons, right? Oh, I see. They're both different open buttons. So really, right now, this thing isn't scoped for the EventBus. That's our problem, right? So I got to go over here and, I'm going to just tell, we have an EventBus that is globally defined. However, when we define the on event, and it's not even calling both of them, it's just calling one of them. I guess my question is if we were to comment out the menu scene, I wonder if it would actually call both the on events, right? So that is something that we might want to consider. Or the other thing is that maybe this should automatically, it should register on and off when the scene loads and stops. I mean, that would be the easiest fix, right? To say on and off as we're working through these scenes. Maybe in our game scene here, we have our, register events. Events. I'm just gonna call it register events. I don't need to call it that. We're gonna bring them here. So that's fine. We'll do that also in our menu. So let's just say, we'll do the same thing here, register events. I believe that these are the same. So we'll go here, paste them in here, register events, and then I'll have deregister events. Deregister events. I want all of them here. I don't know if we need to specify what we're deregistering when we do that. I guess I would need to know because then how would we know what function to deregister, right? But let's go take a look at our EventBus and see what they have. Normally that's what you do is you also provide the exact callback so that it knows. Callback and context for the callback. I like how you can set that. We're not using it right now. We're just passing the scene through with it. But we could have used that. I don't know why we don't. And so we have our listener events. I want to, again, deregister these, remove all event listeners. So we could also do this. But the dangerous part of this is to remove all of them, not just the ones that are in the scene, but every single one. And I don't think I want to do that. So this is fine, but we need to know what the event cycle is when we transition a scene. So we'll go back over to here. So when we create, it does this. So start, create, update loop, stopped. So when we change scenes, I'll go ask this over here. This is updated every 2 seconds. When we change scenes, how can we have it deregister events? A scene has a create action, but does it call an action during a transition? Okay, that's what I need to know. We'll give it a second there to think. Okay, so to properly handle event deregistration during transition scene, you should use the built-in lifecycle methods. That's what I'm trying to do. Phaser offers several methods to automatically get called during transition. So register events, deregister events, shutdown. Called automatically when scene is stopped or transitioned away. So that's what I was trying to find out. But when we go over to here, It's here, you know what I mean? Like I couldn't override stop, but maybe this one can be overridden. Yeah, I'm not sure. When it stopped or transition. I mean, if that's what it does, that'd be really awesome. So we'll go ahead and we'll try that. And so we'll go here and we'll have a shutdown. We'll try that. I don't think that it does that, but I mean, if it does, I don't care. I'll take it. Same thing here. We have our create. We got to do the same thing. Yeah, deregister shutdown. And so this is one way to mitigate that problem. You know, it's more maintenance, but well, that's fine. It's not like this is a big game. So we're taking forever, even though it's a really small game. We have the settings, we hit cancel, we go to new game, we have settings, we hit cancel, and we go over to here, and it's still calling the wrong one. Okay, so, you know, I thought if we did this, that would work. Are these actually getting called is my question. So we'll call this a console log shutdown. Game scene shutdown. Okay, we'll go to the menu scene. We'll try this here as well. Right, because it either is getting called or it's not. I didn't think it was getting called. It might still be getting called. We go here and it doesn't call it at all. So I don't think shutdown never gets called. Shutdown doesn't get called. Are you sure that this is something we can override? Like, I just don't think that you can, because the other one we couldn't, right? I mean, it seems logically we should be able to do it. There is that stopped function, maybe. You're right, I should verify your information. Yeah, you should. Like, if we go back over to here, we have ready, update, render. So we have start, we have create. So create, stop, maybe stopped. So I'll go here. Sorry, stopped. Like maybe this one gets called. We'll try this. And we'll try this. Yeah, it's talking, it's thinking. I'm going to ignore it. It can do whatever it thinks it's doing. It's not doing nothing. So we'll go over to here. We'll give this a try again here. And I'm going to check here. And so we have new game. It's not calling stop either. Right? So I need to consider the user question about this. So it's... I'm going to switch back to this. It says here, by accessing the current scene manually and starting a new scene from there, you get, this will effectively call the scene of the current scene and replace the current scene by starting the game. So this is where I just don't think it's calling that stop action, right? Like, sure, it's starting the other scene. I mean, I guess the other thing is, can you have multiple scenes running at the same time? Probably. So I'm going to go phaser scene here, as this information is not that useful here. And on the right-hand side, there should be something for scene, yeah. Functions, phaser scenes, and then in here we have create, scenes plugin. All there is create. I don't know how this fellow wrote this stuff. I didn't think of these most basic things. Put so much time and energy. When Phaser 3 was being created, I knew a lot about it, and I tried helping the creator. He just didn't want help. And, you know, like I had the whole thing in a private repo, and it was really frustrating. But anyway, we'll go down here below and take a look. Okay, it's just working in circles. It's getting confused here. So Google's going to be a better choice. It'd be terrible if Google replaced everything with AI, then we'd never be able to find anything. So phaser, how to call actions on transitioning a scene. We have scene dot stop, remove. I can't even find where the phaser actions are. Like phaser scene management 3, right? It's not really clear here. Notes for phaser 3. So here we have add a scene, right? We have start a scene. Launch the given scene in parallel. Start. So that's interesting. Shut down this scene and run the given one. That's what we want. Restart the scene. Pause the scene. Resume a scene. Sleep a stream. Make a stream. So run. Stop. Set visible. We have start, key, and then data. So yeah, this is what I don't understand, because maybe it's the way we're calling the scene to be started, as it's very particular, I think, on how it should get called. Because we have this dot scene dot scene dot start. Maybe it's just supposed to be this dot scene, like this. So I think earlier it actually complained about doing that. Maybe that's our problem. I'm not sure if that would call it properly, but let's take a look and see what happens. Because maybe there is lifecycle stuff happening. We're just not seeing it because we're calling it wrong. So we're going to clear this out here so we can see what's going on. I hit new. It says this.scene.start is not a function. I'm going to console log out that scene because there's clearly something there, right? It's interesting because here we do scene dot, well, I guess there's a scene object within it, right? But let's go ahead and do a console log and see what other kind of stuff we have here. So let's do console log here, console log, ev.scene, right? And this will be the SSSS for starting it up. And we go here. Menu scene. Okay, so we go here. We have what? Got add, cameras, game, scene. And then there we have scene again. Go down here. We have resume, run, restart, start, stuff like that. I don't know what's going on. Let's go back over to here into our menu scene. But clearly, we can't even get it to call that stupid thing. Let me go pause here and figure it out, okay? All right, so here they're suggesting that there might be a little bit of an event bus already built in. There's like a global one, but also one that is specific to scenes. They call them scene signals. And so here you're doing events.emit, and then you can track those there, and so they will be scoped within the scene. But here's it's the scene A. So we have scene A, and it says here, to round out the scene communication, let's talk about using the scene itself as an event emitter. This enables a less tightly coupled integration than using functions directly and doesn't run afoul of the issue of shoving everything into global namespace. So here we see events.emit, pause, events.emit, settings. The only challenge with this is that this is emitting to from scene A to scene B, which I don't really want to call in scene A or B. I just want to I just want this to work. You know what I mean? It's very frustrating, but it seems like they don't have an easy way to register, deregister events. There is this thing built in. I don't know what the implementation of the signals are, so I'm kind of hesitant to use it, even though it would probably work totally fine. The only thing I think of is that I have to just manually call the deregistration when we do a scene transition. And so to me, it seems like I need to kind of wrap this thing and extend it because it's just not working as expected. So I'm going to just have to make my own base scene, main scene here. Like we'll just say, what I call the other one? Base, yeah, we'll call it base scene. And so we're saying new file here, we'll say base scene because it's not doing what I want, right? And I don't got time to goof around here all day trying to figure this out. So we'll go here into class, base scene extends that, there we go. Export, that's not how we've been doing our exports. Come on, just do it how we normally do it. This one doesn't have it, this one doesn't have it. Oh, it's interesting, those don't have exports on them. Why don't those have exports? All our other ones have exports, like this has an export, right? So I'm not sure why sometimes we need exports and we don't. I don't care. I'm just going to go ahead and put this in here. And so this is going to extend it. So I mean, it'd be nice if it did that every time. Sure. I'm not sure what we're doing right now in our inits. Yeah, I mean, that's not a bad idea. So I might say, yeah, we'll go ahead and do that. And then we can go over here, and then this one we can extend our base scene instead. And so we can just take this out. We do obviously want to override the constructor there, so that's totally fine. And I'm going to go back into now my boot scene. This one we'll want to leave alone. We'll look at our preload screen. This one we want to leave alone. But our menu screen, we definitely want to override this one. And then we can take this part out. So this kind of helps a little bit with this here. The other thing is, like, we always want to call our registers, right? So I know after we call this, we want to do that. We are explicitly calling it here, so it's not that big of a deal, but I want to shut this down or stop it or whatever, deregister our events. And so when we transition, I want to wrap this and we'll just say like change scenes. So it's like, so I'll go here, change scene, scene key, and that is what it's going to do. But also I wanted to say this dot deregister events, right? Because that way we will know that it will deregister events. I'll also just make a one here for deregister events. And this one actually is just going to be like override with your own implementation. Okay, that way it won't error out when it calls it. And so now it definitely will call that there. Now we are manually calling the create here. I almost kind of feel like we should just put this in our super. And here I would say register events. And so here I would actually, yeah, call that there. And so now what we can do is call super like that. And that way it's going to call that there. We'll go back over to our game one here as well. And we'll go down here and we'll say super like this. Okay, and we don't need to do shutdown like that. And so now I'm hoping what will happen is it will deregister these events. But when we want to change scenes, sorry, my head's kind of weird. I went to standing desk here. I didn't fix my head, did I? But what we want to do here is we want to change the way we do that scene transition. So the way we can do that is going into our menu here, and there's that start scene or whatever for game. It's like start game. I'll go down here. And so instead of doing this, I'm going to say this dot change scene to game, right? And so this way, it's going to for sure call our deregister events, or it should anyway. And I just want to make sure that gets called. So do console log dereg to make sure that is called. We'll go ahead and hit up. And I'm going to go over to here. Okay. And we do have an error, which is fine. We did a major refactor. Menu scene is not defined. It's because we didn't import this base UI. I really didn't think when I built this it was going to get this big, but I can't stop now. Unfortunately, when you get to a certain point and you just want your stuff to work and you want to have a result, you'll see it to the end, and I will just go till this freaking thing is built. Maybe I'll integrate into the ExamPro platform for certification training. So I don't know. I'm just gonna keep going with it here. The whole bootcamp could have just been this freaking app. But here it says menu scene not defined. It is definitely defined. I'm gonna go ahead and start this again, but it is having a little bit of trouble. We'll give this a nice refresh. We know when we get this problem here, it's saying super keyword unexpected here. So something about the overrides it doesn't like. I know we do an override with the base UI. So in the base UI here, we have this, this here, and we can override those functions. But if we go into our menu UI, yeah, we have super, right? So maybe it's not super, oh, it's super.show, okay. So we'll go back into our, what do you call it? Our menu.scene, where we're calling that super function. And really it should be like super.create, there we go. We'll go into our game, same thing here, super.create, there we go. We'll go ahead, stop it, start it. I'll go back over to here. We'll go into here. We'll give this a nice refresh. Okay. And we don't see anything here, but I'll go over to here. It says, cannot add scene with duplicate key base. Well, that's fine. It's supposed to override it, right? So here, I thought we were overriding it. Are we not? Maybe that's not the way we override it. Okay, so I'm gonna need a little bit of GPT help here. Okay, how do I properly override the constructor? Okay, and I'm gonna see if it can help me with that, because I'm not really sure what its problem is there. All you can think of is maybe I just don't set a key there. So always talking about UI toggle, it gets confused. Ugh, I'm gonna start a new combo. This combo is like so long, I can't even see what I'm doing anymore. So I'm gonna go back and paste this problem in and say like, what do I do here? Sometimes you gotta reset that conversation, which seems to be part of the issue. As the actual scene itself, it's meant to be a base class in the other scenes when the player tries to register it. So I've identified the issue in the game scene. Yeah, how do I solve it? And so here it's saying, oh, to do config like that. Okay. So, I mean, I'm not sure that really fixes it, but we'll go into our base scene here. And here it's saying doing config. If that works, I'll be happy. I'm not sure if that's what we need to do here, but we'll go ahead and give that a try. Give us a nice refresh. Now it's loading, good. I remember we set some kind of action over here. What is this audio manager? Oh, it's the audio setting. I really want to change that. I'm getting tired of seeing that. It's a small console log. We'll just take it out right now. There we go. And we'll go back over to here. We'll say new game. And it does not work. We have here uncaught change scene is not a function. So it doesn't think it's a function. I mean, it is. We will go back over to our menu UI. change. Sorry, where is it here? Our menu scene. Do I have to call super to do that? Like, why won't it work here? Whoops. And so I'm not sure. Maybe I have to call super to find it more than once. It seems a bit strange to do that. It's just that we're not working, like we're working with pure JavaScript and other languages. It's a little bit more seamless when extending it. And so I'm getting a little bit confused. And so maybe it might say like this dot super whatever. It's saying like define it twice, which seems a little bit silly to me. So what is it suggesting here? Oh, EV. It's not EV change thing because it should be, well, actually, sorry, yeah, it would be that. Let's try this out for a second here. And I mean, we don't set the context, but we could, if we wanted to, pass the context here on the end, and then it would be the context of that, because right now the functions go nowhere. It's up to us what we want to do here. Let's try this. There we go. So now my question is, do I open this and hit cancel? There we go. Look at that. We're getting somewhere. We are getting somewhere. I know it's like so unimpressive, like how many hours we're in to to see what we have. But for me, I'm super excited because now we know our EventBus is working as expected. We could bind the context here, and then we don't have to do EV here. I don't know. I could just try that. That might be one thing I try before we move on to do anything else. I'm going to just do this. I just want to see what happens if I do that. So if I do this, I want to see if it still works. As that is maybe a bit nicer way to work with it. If it does, then I don't care. We have it working. It's not. Yeah, this is not a function, which is fine. I thought it could bind like that. So I don't care right now. But anyway, the point is, it is working. Our EventBus in one particular way. Again, the bind would be nice, but I'm not going to worry about that right now. There's a dot bind we could do as well, like dot bind this, which seems a bit silly. Yeah, we'll try it. Try this dot bind. Just because right now it's not attached to anything. We'll try that one more time. We'll just say console log this and see what we get. So I think that will actually bind it. And yeah, it didn't. I guess context is something else there, but it's fine. I don't care. I do not care. I have it working one way. We'll stop the video here, and I'll see you in the next one. Okay, ciao.